Y'all give it up for Richboi. Got us up downtown Decatur eating chicken. You know what I'm saying, on a Saturday. How about that? No, but I'm proud of this young man, you know, what he's doing, and his initiative to help us with entrepreneurship, man, financial literacy. You know, as you'll see in this trailer real quick, the question that we have to ask ourselves, if we die right now, will you leave bills or benefits? That's the question you gotta ask yourself, because death is very rude. It don't give you no warning signs. It's very disruptive. It just comes, boom, take you out. But your family gotta be able to carry on once you leave. So that's my passion. That's why I do this, is because we gotta leave a legacy, man. You know, we are the most creative people on the planet. We create almost everything that is used on this planet, but we don't benefit from the intellectual properties. You know what I'm saying? We don't benefit from the residuals. You know what I'm saying? So in the film, we talk about that with the technique turntable. We revolutionized that in hip hop. But our kids, the people who did that, their kids are not eating from it. You see what I'm saying? Right now, hip hop is the #1 export in America. But if you look at the money that's being made off of it, we're getting a fraction of that money. So that's why we create this series, and we also have this Kids Money book. We're gonna play the trailer in a second, but we have this Kids Money book, which is 7 principles that every child should know about money. So we're starting with the kids, we're starting with the youth. You know what I'm saying? This book is for 8 to 15-year-olds. And we also have a curriculum that we'll be doing on Peachtree, started in August. It's called Rich Kids on Peachtree. And we'll be right downtown on Peachtree in one of the high rises doing workshops, because we have to expose the kids to this type of environment and to these type of principles. So without further ado, we're gonna play the trailer. And the trailer features everybody from, or the series I should say, is more than just a trailer. But the series is a 3-part series, and we have copies of the DVDs over there. We also can watch it online at Black Friday Film Series. We also have copies of the book. But the film series features everybody from Cynthia Bailey, who you see there, to Hill Harper, David Banner, Les Brown, Chuck D, Professor Griff. We got a lot of people, George Frazier, whom I'm sure a lot of you know in this room, George Frazier. So we have a lot of people that are featured in the film series. It's a 3-part film series. So this is the trailer for the Black Friday film series, one of the first installment.
If you died right now, would you leave bills or benefits?
I'm going to leave behind benefits.
Bills? Well, I'll leave both. Benefits and bills.
Benefits.
And bills. I got shoes, jewelry.
That's what some say. I got insurance policy, but I got some bills too.
That's a funny question.
As a child, my family did not teach me about money because we didn't really have a lot of money growing up.
We didn't have a lot of conversations about it. Other than, is it possible I can get a nickel or a dime or a quarter?
So we didn't realize we were being tricked to be a consumer. Until this day, some of us are still consumers because we're still trying to be fresh.
Louis Vuitton don't want black folks in their clothes. Gucci don't want black folks in their clothes. But we kill ourselves to go give the people that hate us the most our money.
We're just kind of living and we're doing it and going on, but not really taking close inventory of what we're spending.
Listen, sister, I love you to learn about me just like the next person, but I think it is absolutely ignorant and insane and crazy to be more focused on getting another pair of red bottom shoes when you don't even have a red bottom bank account.
These kids run around the internet beating each other up for world stuff. You got all this other stuff you got to worry about, but they don't sit down and say, this is $1, this is a quarter, this is a dime, this is a nickel, and that's what I think the issue is.
So if I don't know myself, you give me $1 billion, I'll act like I don't know what I am. I'm gonna be in this strip club and throw it away.
Everybody on Instagram appears rich, particularly to the rest of the world.
Black people, we are the single richest African community on the face of the globe. And it makes absolutely no sense that we have poverty.
In 1910, for instance, we own more businesses per 100,000 African Americans than we do today.
Because right now, 99% of the blacks of the resources countries are in the hands of whites. 87% of it is frozen, locked into their hands. So how are black folk going to compete?
Living in America, I've witnessed very small portions of land and wealth be transferred from one generation to the next. With $1.1 trillion in buying power, what's prohibiting our team from pooling our talents and winning in society?
And see, the problem is we get paid on Friday, get drunk on Saturday, go to church on Sunday, and then go back to work on Monday.
We could say it's the best of times and the worst of times. We're a $1.1 trillion annual economy. If we were a nation, we'd be the 16th richest nation in the entire world.
We've been taught the wrong things about money. We've been taught that money is a result rather than what it really is a tool.
If I would have understood that early on, at a younger age, I would have been way further along in my career than, things just now starting to happen.
What can we do to ensure that we're leaving a legacy for our children?
Make sure that you are surrounding yourself with people that have the information and the knowledge of what you need in order to grow to the next level.
We need to make sure that you do have something so your children don't have to start at ground zero again when you pass away, or even negative from having to put you in the ground.
So what legacy will you leave, people? Thank you. In 2021, black people will have an annual spending income of $1.5 trillion. Right now, we're floating between $1.2 and $1.3 trillion. To put that in perspective, that's more money than Canada's economy for the year. That's more money than the continent of Australia for the year, the country of Australia. So we have a lot of money that's being sucked out of our community. The thing is that money is being mismanaged. I'm gonna say this last thing and I'm gonna sit down. 2 weeks ago, I had the opportunity to go to Black Wall Street for the first time and speak there where we used our curriculum, we showcased the curriculum to some kids there at a charter school. There was two things when we went down on the Greenwood district that really blew me away. Number one, Black Wall Street, or the Greenwood district, was founded in 1905 by O.W. Gurley, and it was bombed, that's right, bombed, in 1921. So if you look at that time span, that's 16 years. So they did all of that in a 16-year time span. They built over 600 businesses, but they had everything that the community needed. That's one thing. But the thing that really fascinated me is there was not one bank. They didn't have one bank to build what they built. The reason why they were able to do it is because they were able to manage the money that they had, and they kept the dollar circulating in the community. The dollar stayed in the community over a year. It was 300 and some days that the dollar stayed in the community. So with that being said, we don't have no excuses. You know what I'm saying? They did that in 16 years, and they did it without a bank. The only thing that killed it was integration. Integration, because after it was bombed, they built it again. They had to go, through litigation because they tried to implement codes and things like that, fire codes, so they couldn't build it. But they built it again. The only thing that destroyed it was integration. So integration was the worst thing that ever happened to black people in America, in my opinion. So with that being said, I say thank you, but we gotta learn how to properly manage the $1.2 trillion that we have, soon to be 1.5 in 2021. So we have the Black Friday Film Series, we have a curriculum, a book, as well as the film. You can check it out. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Black Friday film series. Give it up to Brian, his entire staff, his team, for allowing us to be showcased here at the conference, man. This is a dope conference, man. Definitely ready to support it next year. All right? Thank you. Give it up to my man, Mike. So when the switched up on him, look at him. What is the real awards? Yeah, you should change your clothes.
Richboi got that budget. That's what I'm talking about. Love doing his conferences. Got my market validated and everything. Hey, these next two guys that I'm about to bring up to the stage are very inspirational to me. A little bit of my background. I started doing internet radio back in 2009. I always tell the story. I had a laptop computer and a cell phone, and I started the radio show from the house. It's called Real Talk with Michael McFadden. And we were on Blog Talk Radio, and the thing that, when I look at conferences and we talk about finances and stuff like that, is just staying consistent with what it is that you do. Did about 400 shows on Blog Talk Radio, and just continue to grow. And today, I'm happy to say that my partner and I, Joy A. Pearson, we host a morning show, Michael and Joy in the morning, on Power 108.9, but it was because of the inspiration that these two cats have gave to me, allowed me to continue to be where I am today. I got a joke for you. Joy, don't tell the answer. What do you call a computer that can sing? Adele. Hey, coming to the stage right now, get your questions ready. My man, Mr. Klarque, Garrison, and Mr. Brian Joubert.
I was really concerned about the progress of this conference, but when Michael McFadden switched outfits, I knew he was doing something powerful at that point. And that's big time though, when you get folks like to switch outfits. So, come a long way. Yeah, and you know what? He's staying true to it because he's a diva. He's a male diva. And that right there capped it all. So ain't no question. I was wondering, but yeah, that there did it.
That's so funny.
All right. Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm ready. All
right, so let's start this off. I'm used to doing radio, so people aren't looking at me when I'm doing it.
Yay!
So I've known Brian for almost a decade, and I seem to find something new about him every single day. And what's really cool is you just said, Bob, your mentor. I kind of think of you as mine. And over the 10 years, for some reason, I'm now older than you. I don't know how that happened. So Rob is actually like my granddad. No? You're his my second generation? No? So let's start right here, because when I interview anyone on my show, what I find out is that everyone has a story.
Amen.
We always we see the finished product, or we see the product at its apex or it's rising, and we think it's easy. We don't understand that it takes time, it takes a struggle, it takes jumping over hurdles. So I always start with this. Who did you want to be when you grew up?
Probably Lynn Swan. Yeah, probably Lynn Swan. If anybody knows sports, I grew up, like I say, I was a big Lynn. Anybody went wide receiver, though, that was me, though. But I was like Lynn Swan. I was like, I'm going to NFL, I'm be like Lynn Swan. I'm going to kill it,
So not the paper Saints back then, Saints, no?
Bro, why are you trying to get this?
Oh, sorry.
Man.
So you wanted to be Lynn Swan?
Yeah.
Because you played football.
Yes, I did.
I heard you were pretty good.
I was decent. I always say that was one of my regrets, probably not continuing with that in college and receiving all those freebies. But we got Pell Grants. My mom was poor, so it didn't hurt me too much that we had to spend much on college there. Yeah, but I had a little something with me.
So like, unlike most people, you've had some major hurdles that happened early on in your life. You were incarcerated. I don't know how many people do that. I recently just found that out. I don't know if you know that. And you've also been shot with a BB gun, I heard.
No, I wish.
What did that, that's a profound effect, either way you slice it, right?
Yeah.
What did that do to change who you probably was on the road to become?
I think what it did was it grounded me. I never look at any situation as a negative, to be honest. If anybody truly know me, I always look at the glass as half full. So what society perceived as negatives, I perceive it as a lesson. And so, the first instance you talked about being shot, and this was probably right after high school. And that was one of the reasons why I think my transition kind of changed in sports, because I actually got shot in the lower part of my leg. And so I think what I did was I took that and it made me realize that your life can end at any time. You have to live every day to the fullest, man. Because if you don't, you just don't know. And so that's what it kind of showed me, even as a young person, that like, wow, what if that bullet would have been to my upper body? What if it had paralyzed me? What if it would have killed me? And so from that day on, I took it to the point of, you know what? This is basically gonna be my last day of wondering, doubting, half knowing stuff, because, just that easy that your life can change. And the other aspect of it is, and what I learned, and now that I go back and I reflect on stuff, I realized that I was extremely conscious about things, before. So when people hear me talk about supporting black businesses, boycott NFL, they think all of this just started. But even back then, when I think about it now, I had an issue that, here it is, I got shot, nobody ever got arrested, nothing ever happened, so it made me now fight for the underdog. Because what I found out was I ended up playing basketball with the cat that shot me. And my partner never told me because he didn't want nothing to break out. And so I'm like, wow, this cat just go and shoot basketball. Shoot somebody that goes shoot basketball. He just a shooter. Like, that kind of change. So it made me fight for the underdog a little bit more.
So you and I talked a while back, and you told me that, speaking about mentor, we all need someone to change the course of where our life is going. And sometimes that's negative, and sometimes, many times, especially for probably everyone here, someone changed the trajectory of your life. And that's why you're even thinking about being in this room. You told me that there were a couple of people that were influential to you when you were incarcerated. Yes. And right now, I do want to acknowledge, a couple of people though, and not that I was locked up with both of them, but Mr. Greg Moyer and Todd Ivory, though, basically. And I always say they my before and after, because I learned, and I say this proudly because I've made millions of dollars in the tax industry, and I learned the tax business while incarcerated, and so a lot of people in here like, wow, I never even knew. And I had to stop saying this was my coming out party, because in Atlanta you can't really say it like that. You can't say this was your coming out party. So this is basically, I guess, my awareness situation. It's my awareness situation. A lot of people just Instagram that. But what I wanted people to know is, and because over the last few years my success has really gone to another level, and it's just because people have been coming to me, pouring into me, and I've been extremely blessed. But my thing was, and you hear me talk about throwing the rope, and I'm so passionate about throwing the rope down and pulling somebody else up because somebody threw me the rope. And I learned basically while incarcerated from Mr. Greg Moyer, and I'm hoping I ain't putting you on the spot, brother, but you basically make me proud because you've been through a situation that you've overcome. But this cat poured into me, man, every day. Like days I was really ashamed to go back to him, like, bro, can you show? He would sit there for hours and hours and hours and pour into me, and so, and I mean, show me stuff like I wasn't even trying to learn, he was showing me stuff, and that takes a strong man, that takes a real man to pour into another man like that, so man, I truly appreciate you for that, and I just wanted to acknowledge you for that. believe there's a famous Gateway computer story you want.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go into the Gateway thing, but I do want to acknowledge Mr. Todd Ivory. You know, because when I came home, and it was crazy because everything lined up perfectly when I came home, because just to find out that Greg was from Atlanta. You know, and so to still have the guy that I took as my mentor as well as teach me the business to be right here in my backyard, I'm like, that's a blessing, man. I did just enough time to learn just enough. You know, and that was the thing. And so that's why I'm passionate in that sense, because I always say just because you did bad things don't mean you're a bad person. You know, and it's just situations that, you know, I didn't even get into the court system and all that kind of stuff though. But when I came home, somebody introduced me to Todd Ivory because they knew I was getting in the tax business. And this dude, you would think that he wasn't in the tax business already. I used to feel bad about calling both of them because it'd be 5 times a day sometimes. I'd be like, nah. And Todd would say, well, B, if you got any more questions, just call me. You know, just call me. You know, and I mean, he gave me the game. You know, and it was 2 things that both of them told me that really manifested my growth. You know, and the first thing Greg told me, and I don't think he remembered, and we were walking one day, and I think I was saying something about doing something for my mom and this and that, and he just hit me, like, he said, B, you gotta stop thanking mom and pop. And he's like, wow, like I thought I was doing something. You know, and this cat was like, man, you gotta stop thanking mom and pop. And that, you know, everybody has something profound that somebody told him or whatever. But when he hit me with that, it was like, God, I don't know what it did to me. But I know it changed me to where now my whole mindset, I always talk big, but I think that actually provided me to start acting big. You know, and so that really manifested me to another level. And so when I came home and I started perfecting the craft, and I was constantly talking with Todd, because Todd had a Jackson Hewitt franchise. And I mean, he was just pouring into me, and I was getting information. He was just telling me the right way to go. And he told me, he said, B, he said, whatever you do, because I thought about going franchise. He said, man, whatever you do, stay independent. You know, and so it's crazy because this is over 20 years ago, and I don't know if these cats remember that. I remember these things. But he said, stay independent. You know, because he told me about what the fees and the different ways and how much more control and leverage I can have if I stay there. And those 2 things, man, really stuck with me. And really, so I like to say, I reward these guys with a lot of, you know, the credit for my success. And hopefully I didn't pay y'all off already. Now, but you know, you talked about the Gateway computer, and that's the thing is that I don't know if anybody, you know, I know a lot of y'all way older than me, but I don't know if y'all remember the Gateway computer. And I remember when I used to be, you know, I used to be in my cell and I used to just be looking at the USA Today. And Gateway computer had a big old 1-page ad that it used to do. And every day I'd be like, I'm gonna get that computer. I'm gonna get that computer when I get out every day. And I don't know why I used to go to that page every day and just look at that computer. And so when I got home, that was one of the first things I did, because I started the business in the bedroom of my home. And I got that computer, I got a desk, you know, and I started doing the thing. And then it came with a printer. And like I said, growth is so amazing, because it came with a printer. They got it free. I'm like, I don't have to get a printer. And I remember the first time I got that printer, it was probably about a day and a half by the time the 4th page came out. I said, I see why they give you this printer now. Because I would do a tax return, go take a shower, shave, and it'll be halfway through printing. You know, and so I think about that, you know, and I look back and I use that as basically motivation for progression. When you look back. And so, you know, the thing is that count all of those little blessings and appreciate where you came from. Yes. You know, you have to do that. You have to do that, because now one of the hashtags that I wanted to put is small victories. We got to understand the small victories, because what happened was that motivated me even more, because when I went and got a real printer and got rid of that and it started printing, at that time it was 20 pages a minute. You know, it was 20 pages a minute, man, and I was like, wow. Like, it changed my whole thing. So that one victory of being able to build up money to get a better printer, it motivated me now to do more returns. And so that was a beautiful thing. So I just want to tell people, take those little things. Don't discount those little victories, because every small victory is a step to big greatness.
I think in business, oftentimes we are too hard on ourselves because we're looking from a micro point of view. It is very hard to look from that macro, right? So you need people that coach and mentor you to show you the big picture, and kind of have what I like to call the eagle's eye viewpoint, vantage point, which is always higher than everyone else's. So with that in mind, what did you see that was lacking out there? We talked about this also in terms of why you felt this conference was necessary.
Well, I wanted to do this. Like I say, my thing is I'm big on development, personal development, business development, and you have to invest in yourself. So I try to do multiple conferences a year. And the one thing that I did see, well, there's several reasons why I did it, but one of the things was, I think most conferences that I go to, because they're funded by bigger companies, the companies dictate the information, the lessons, the courses, the classes in the conference. And I'm sitting there and I'm listening to conference after conference. They're talking about international trading, diversity this, all of these different things. And I'm like, these people just need to know how to start a business, and really I wanted to do something that was more ground roots, because a lot of people in here are startup businesses, or they've been in business only 3 to 5 years. And if you were here from the beginning and wasn't in those other people I talked about, then you heard me talk about businesses fail, like 80% of businesses fail in 5 years, and 50% fail in the first 3. And so my thing was, I wanted to get to those businesses so we don't have a failure rate, because entrepreneurship is really the key to financial salvation, success and everything else.
There's a word that's been bantered about in the last 5 to 10 years called entrepreneurship, or being an entrepreneur, that you hear everyone say it, right? Even kids saying it now. And I don't know if everyone really understands the term, what that means. So some people think that self-employed is being an entrepreneur, and it's not. You just got a job and just work for yourself, right? So why are you so hung up? I know you love being an entrepreneur. Talk to the audience what the difference is and why you chose that route versus just being a self-employed guy.
Well, it's a difference. It's a difference in the sense that I didn't come from, the longest I've ever worked a job was 11 months. So I don't even know the whole go to work thing anyway. And so that was a long 11 months too.
What was that job?
That was Hardee's. I was a manager at Hardee's.
Did you see him at Hardee's?
Yeah, I was a manager at Hardee's. If you came through that, you definitely got some extra chicken from me. I'm saying. Because we used to throw away 100 pieces of chicken and they didn't want to give people no. I'm like, come on, man. But when we went to 6 days a week, I quit. Yeah, and I'm serious, because the thing was, we were working 5 days. We were on a structured schedule. It was good. We had a little young dude come from Chicago. They brought in a new manager. We just gone, yeah, because we got to do this, we got to get this story, we got to work 6 days. And when I was walking out there tired, my back was, I was like, you know what? I could do this for myself. I can't do these 6 days and walk out here like that. I quit. And I actually gave my 2-week notice, and I used one of the weeks, basically, they gave me a vacation. So I used one of the weeks on vacation as my notice. So I came back and did 1 week. They were mad, but I was like, all right. But I was like, I could do this for myself. But what happened was, when I started getting into business, I was a hustler probably for 10 years in business. And it's a difference. When you talk about hustling, being self-employed, it's a difference. Because see, when you're self-employed, you pretty much can't walk away from your business. People get mad when I take trips during tax time. But I'm not self-employed. And that's what we're here for. That's the view we want to change. That's what you should strive for. And so my thing was, I'm like, I don't want to be that dude that always at the job, where I done bought myself a high profile employee position. And so as I continue to learn, and the thing about it is, when I do my presentation, I got the key to success. And I'm going to tell y'all how I manifest that, how I changed that, and how I went from self-employed to a company. And it's a big difference because companies can walk away and not be there. You know, and so that's my thing, and I'll teach that when I do my session of speaking. But yeah, you got to, because they done made us believe in our community that if you don't see the owner, then something's wrong. Mm-hmm. If you see the owner too much, something's wrong. You know, you should only see the owner there if they choose to be there, not because they have to be there. And it's possible, and that's why we're doing this today, because a lot of people don't realize that it's possible. But the thing is that, you know, I'm here, you know, we got a bunch of people, Rob Wilson is here, he understands the concept, you know, and I got a lot of other people in the room that understand that concept. So, you know, let's make that happen today.
You know, it's funny how one simple, small thing, in this case, a $15 purchase, changed my life. My wife bought his book almost a decade ago and brought it home to me, and I was like, who is this dude? And I think I interviewed you right after that. Yes. And shortly after that, he and I connected and we started our own station. And that station grew to be having my own Roku channel, to all other facets, and you've been a big part of a lot of it.
Yeah, well, I'm a believer. If you believe in something and you believe somebody's vision, and that's how I tell you, that's how you differentiate the people who's serious versus the people who's talking. Cut the check. Cut the check. If somebody's serious, they're gonna cut the check. You know, and that's basically where I was. I saw that this guy was serious about what he was doing. I don't mind investing in that. I'll take that chance. I'll take that risk. You know, and so a lot of this basically, when you talk about the book, one of the reasons why this conference did manifest is because of the book. And I got a sign, I guess. You know, it was in February, and I'm like, I thought about the conference, and I'm like, 4 months, 5 months to June. Yeah, but I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna put it out there. I'm like, my following has been crazy. I'm gonna step out on faith. I'm gonna do it, and we're gonna make this happen. But the first occurrence was on the same day. I was at the gym. Yes, I do go to the gym. I know y'all see my pictures, you know, my food, but I do sometimes. I do enough to work off the bad food I ate. So I ain't gonna look no better, but I ain't gonna look no worse. You know, so I do go to the gym. You know, and so we had brother. You know, and Renault. Now this brother here, he looked like he go to the gym. You know, so he back there, he looked like he go to the gym. And Renault's been a client of mine. He's been a tax client of mine forever. And so he came up to me. He said, Brian. He said, bro, I just need to tell you. He said, I pulled your book back out, man. I read your book. He said, I've had it for 4 years. He said, but this time, it's like, bro, I can't even explain what it did to me this time. You know, and I understood it because he said, you know what, back then, I wasn't in that space. I wasn't in that space. So it's okay to get things a few years down the line because sometimes you're not there. You're not there yet. You know, and he was like, bruh, you know, and he was like, man, your book is called Running with Blinders, but you really need to do something that's called Removing the Blinders. He said, because you help people see. You give vision. And I was like, wow. I said, I like that. I said, I'm gonna get that, make millions and don't tell him. You know, you know, so I said, no, and that just stayed with me. It just stayed with me. Removing the blinders, removing the blinders. I'm like, you know what? And I said, and I do need to do something on a bigger scale. I'd already been thinking about it, and it was like that, dang, like God, in places to do right here to basically validate what I've been thinking. So later that evening, I had another meeting. And this was last year, if y'all remember, I spoke on a cruise to the Bahamas. But that's what I said. You know, but I met with them. And so the young lady said, Brian, she said, we gotta get you in front of people. She said, because I read your book again. And she said, oh my God. She said, I'm gonna make sure everybody buy your book. I'm gonna make sure everybody get your book. She said, because it's so powerful, so much information, so many nuggets. And that was validation. I'm like, on the same day, 2 different people basically came with praise reports on the book. And I'm like, I gotta do this. And at that point, it was manifested. You know, so I give Renault a lot of the credit because he actually stayed on. When we sat down, we talked about stuff, and he would always constantly remind me. You know, and I said, well, you know what, this gotta happen. You know, and really that's how partially how it came about, but I think the confidence was over the last few years, just I think the faith that people have put in me. the credibility. I mean, just people coming to me, and need my service. People I don't even know from social media, just out in the public, just, I need your help. And so that was validation. And then when I had Dr. Ed Womack, and if anybody knows Dr. Ed Womack, Ed is a powerhouse himself. And when I started getting people like Ed who, a powerhouse is coming to me and say, B, I need to talk to you. I need to sit down with you. When you talk about Terrence Hutchinson, like, B, I need to get with you, man. When you got powerhouses that's coming to you, then you ready. And that's where, like, I had no choice but to do this.
How are we on time? I know our time.
Man, it's my time.
You got 7
Hey, that's the real ball.
I'm gonna respect that though, because Tanya, and I'm gonna give Tanya a shout out too, but and y'all give her a round of applause. So that's my event coordinator. And the thing about it is, she comes from corporate America. She do conferences and events for the big company CDC and those. And so when she came to me and talking about day budgets, like day budgets, IBM, CD, I'm like, hold up, wait, we missing something in this whole layout right here when we talk about the CDC budget. I'm like, no, we got a chicken budget. We got a chicken budget. We gonna spice up the mashed potatoes though, but yeah, we got a chicken budget. So, shout out to her, because actually she was a one-person operation for this whole thing until we started bringing in the volunteers, so that was big for her. And it vexed my nerves. You heard that word, I vex. It vexed my nerves a little bit because, I like to see people having different components. But I trusted her because she told me to trust her. So I'm going to trust you, and my trust worked out, so I appreciate you, Tanya.
Yay!
Shout out to Tanya.
But we are recruiting volunteers for next year. Anybody want to be on any of these committees and all these things, definitely reach out to me.
So I want to ask this question with limited time we have. Most people, and you're going to answer this, you're going to finish it. Most people don't succeed in business because.
I get how many? Can we do a part 2 conference? But no, what I found now is that a lot of people call it grind. I call it that dog. I think people don't have that dog in them. And I don't know where we lost it, but at one time we was willing to put in work. And that's what separates basically the average people from the great people, is really putting in work. And I would say that was one, because if you put in work, believe me, people are watching. More people are watching you than you believe. And when you start putting in work, people want to be a part of that. And it'll be much easier to get people to run with you when they see that you're consistently running. Because most people are tired of walking, and so they want to get with somebody they can run with. So I would say that was one thing. The second thing is most people don't succeed because they don't invest in themselves. You gotta invest in yourself. I can't stress that enough. You gotta, and the thing about it ain't always paid for. I watch more YouTube videos for free, probably than anybody. I find myself, like, I'm gonna be in bed by 10 o'clock. Before you know it, it's 12 o'clock, I'm watching YouTube videos, I'm learning, I'm pouring into myself. You gotta basically do those things. You gotta read. I didn't got hooked on the audio books now. And so I know, a couple people say that ain't real reading.
It's not.
So I listen.
It is. It's not.
I read with my ears. That's what I do. I read with my ears. But now, but that's pouring into yourself. And so when you start making those investments and those commitments in yourself, that's with anything else, then you'll see your growth, you'll see your success manifest. So I think that's at least 2 things that people don't do. That I think you have to do to be successful. You gotta pour into yourself, you got to, and you gotta grind. 8 hours is not grinding. That's below average these days, because most people do 10 hours a day, at least. That's 10 hours is average nowadays. Nobody wants to be average. 12 hours is good. Anything over 12, you put in work. And that's what we have to get to.
I noticed we have some young folks sitting in the audience today, and I want you to talk about the importance of being able to start your business early. even if it fails, so almost, I think if you start a business in here, if you raise your hand, everyone's probably failed at 9 other things they wanted to do. And I use failure as a word that says that it just, that route didn't work for you at that time. But talk about, seeing the youth in the audience and how important that is to not only for them to start, but for us to support them in that journey.
Man, you actually touched the sweet spot now, because that's my new love, though, really, to be honest with you, to work with the millennials. I taught a class, I was invited to teach a class at Klarque, Atlanta last semester, and I think that was the thing that was another turning point for me, because what it did for me, it actually gave me a pipeline of students, which for years I've been trying to bring students on, have the parents, bring your student to my classes and my youth entrepreneurship thing. But it is so important, man. It is so important we pour into our next generation, because they're hungry. They're ambitious, they're smart, but they have no guidance. And I always say the reason why that is so important, because everybody, I'm almost 40. A lot. First of all, I'm insulted because not that you laugh so hard, you laugh fast. I didn't even get that out all the way, and you laugh real fast. So I'll be getting up there pretty soon. And so a lot of y'all that's over 40 and older, you always say if and when. If I knew what I knew now when I was 25, what I know now, I would be this and that. You can't, and you won't. But what you can do is pour that into somebody else. And I'm extremely selfish in that sense, that I want to be responsible for multiple people's greatness.
Amen.
I want young people to say, oh, if it wasn't for Brian giving me this information, this knowledge, I wouldn't be here. And I think I love that, because I see the excitement in it, and a lot of the young people that's here today, I actually mentor, and I will give some acknowledgement to them, because if they hear, and the thing that I listen to some of them, and I'm gonna actually point out one of them. Where's Taya? Is Taya in here? All right, that's Miss Taya, though. She was one of my students at Klarque, Atlanta, and after I taught them, I taught a class on taxes and entrepreneurship, and what happened was, there go that word, I'm getting scared. What happened was, is that I went in that class to teach them, educate them a little bit, and they came in to learn. And so I was so impressed with a few of them, I said, you know what, I'm gonna give them jobs, but I'm not gonna tell them. I'm gonna see who wanted. And it was about 4 of them that was willing to work with me, didn't know they was getting paid, they just wanted the experience. But what happened was, Taya actually fell off a little bit because she had some things she had to take care of. So the other girls trained, and we were probably in mid-tax season at that point. And she came to me, when she called me, she said, Brian, I got everything situated, I know it's late, is it possible, I can still work? I said, well, Taya, we pretty much in tax season now. I said, you missed a lot of the training, and she said, well, even if I can't work, it's too late, I just want to be around the environment and kind of learn and pick up stuff.
Amen.
It ain't no way possible I will let her lose.
Amen.
There's no way possible I'll let her lose. With that type of attitude, I can't let her lose.
Amen.
And the thing about it is, once I got to meet her, I'm like, I'm gonna fight for her, because if you got a young person she was working, I'm gonna push your business out in the street, but that's all right, you young, so you don't have a whole lot of business. But my thing was, she was working, including L&B, 3 jobs.
I remember.
3 jobs, and I could tell the work ethic she had, but I hated the fact that you at 19 have to work that much. Because I'm a believer that you gotta live your life, because you only get those 19, 20 years for so long. Responsibility stays with you for the rest of your life.
Amen.
So my thing was, you know what? If she's gonna work like that, my cousin Kira, if y'all know Kira, and y'all don't even know Kira's story, man. And I'm like, I'm gonna fight for Kira, because I know her story, but I've seen her accomplishments and what she's overcome. I'm gonna fight for her. Micah, this cat came from DC to get this. You know, we've had me and Klarque sit down with him. His mind is super sharp. You know, we talking about, you know, I don't even look at Todd no more as a millennial. You know, he's a 30-year-old grown man. You know, and Todd back there, because the thing is that this cat, if y'all talk to him and y'all understand his business mind and his grind, you be like, wow, you know, this dude ain't 30. You know, but my thing is, I'm a fight, I'm a ride with them all day when they put in work like that. I know I got, and this wasn't even supposed to be in this part right here. Marquise, you know, this cat right here, man, he probably praised me as much as I praise him. You know, and he like, big bro, he like, bruh, I just want to soak up everything you have. I just want to talk to you. I just want, man, be around you. What can I do, big bro? What you need? How can you leave that? Yeah. You know, if you serious, as well as they're going to be the next generation of entrepreneurs, money makers. I can't get max money from y'all if y'all going to be retired older people. I need the younger people now to start making money so we can get some new money out here. But my thing is that I'm going to start pouring into people, man, and that's what I do. And I got somebody else in here, and like I said, I got my list, so I'm going to come back to you.
Well, we got the Klarque French. Hey, but I want to ask you.
Hey, I'm gonna do one more, and I'm gonna do on the vendor though, because Angela, Miss Angela West back there, y'all, she drove down from Memphis. Wow. She drove down from Memphis to be a vendor, knew about the event. And the thing about it is, we met at an Eric Thomas event in St. Louis. You know, and that's the power of social media. But my thing is, I can't let her lose. Because if she's gonna go from Memphis to St. Louis to catch ET, then come here, that's people that want it. That's people that want it, man. And when you want it, people gonna ride with you all day. You know, and so I'm gonna fight for you. If you want it, you know, let's get it. You know, I'll write the check. But you gotta want it. You know, you gotta put some skin in the game.
And I know you're gonna talk about this later, so I just want you to briefly touch on what next, right? It's one thing to be inspired, motivated, educated here. Everybody's got a great feeling, but we talked about how oftentimes you go to these big things, you leave, and that's it. What's next for this particular conference? Why do people need to be engaged?
The other part that's different about this, man, is that I created this because one of the things that I see a deficit in conferences that I go to is a lot of y'all already told me how inspired y'all are. But when you leave here, a week later, you're gonna be back to whatever. That's what happens at most conferences. My goal is to have workshops throughout the year. So everything that we talked about, all of the people that couldn't get up here and speak, we couldn't let everybody speak. I got a whole host of people that's giving workshops to keep feeding you. So we got your email address, so you better click on the unsubscribe because we hit you with all kinds of things to keep you engaged, to keep you hungry, keep you excited. So if you're excited, we're not going to let that fall because we're going to have another seminar for you next month. You know, and Marquita, you know, once again, thank you, Marquita, you know, for being youthful, having your stuff together, and being able to, you know, fulfill that. So she got an event coming up that we're going to talk about that's going to be a piggyback off of this. And so it's going to be some other things. Mr. Garrison got some stuff. I got some stuff. You know, and so really that's what's next for the conference. You know, for L&B, we looking at Dallas now. I'm talking with people about doing the office in Dallas. We're looking at partnering with a couple people here in Atlanta to do some things. We expanding. We actually about to create L&B Espanol. So in 5 years, I'm learning Spanish. If you can't speak Spanish, that's all I'm talking. So if you can't communicate, that's on you. That's on you. I'm going where the growing population is. I'm just saying. Hispanics and millennials are the two fastest growing segments, and that's where I'm going. So if you ain't there, then I'm sorry for you. And then we actually create L&B Millennial Mindset, which we're going to create a division strictly for millennials to work with millennials, you know. So we got some amazing things coming, y'all.
All right, Mr. Brian Joubert.